Sapper David Compton was rudely woken from his wet dream at 020 hours by his corporal kinking his bed. "Compton, get your fucking kit on, you're on stag perimeter patrol. Move." "Yes, Corporal." Compton rubbed his eyes and yawned. "Like fucking now, Compton, move yourself." Jumping up, taking his crumpled beret out of his smock, he put it on his head, walked over to the table and took a drink from a can of Coke, burped loudly and put his radio on his back, picked up his rifle, went for a piss, then went outside to the loading and loading bay. Going through his loading drills with the corporal, he put an empty magazine on his rifle, shaking his head at the ludicrousness of it all. "Have you got a problem with anything, Sapper Compton?" "No, Corporal." "Good. Now fuck off and patrol." "Corporal, what's our motto?" "Compton, UBIQUE, Corporal," he shouted. "That's right, Compton. So go and be fucking everywhere around Partington Barracks." Sapper Compton was angry that he was on duty and not pissing it up on adventure training with his mates, but he was late back from leave and got 3 extra duties as punishment. But the good thing was his accommodation was over half empty, and he decided he was not walking around this miserable dump for 2 hours, so he made his way to his M-block accommodation. "Fuck you, Ubique," Corporal wanked for an hour lying on his bed with a cup of coffee, looking at porn on his phone, seemed a better idea. The attack one last snip and Patrick removed the section of fence, and the S.O.E cell was inside the enemy's lair one by one. As soon as Braden was through, Patrick replaced the fence, which looked undisturbed, and the 4 lay in the grass. They waited for a few minutes, then put on their surgical gloves. Satisfied they had not been seen, they split up and went to work without speaking. Standing up and brushing the grass of her uniform, Susan walked briskly towards her target. Like the others, she was hiding in plain sight. She would be more noticeable crawling around and skulking than just going about her business like a regular soldier. The big difference with Susan's business was murder. The Glock pistol was in its holster inside her smock, but easily accessible if needed. That's how confident she was in her ability as an assassin. She identified the large letter A painted in white on the building, and Susan's heart rate increased and sweat dripped down her forehead from her beret. As a form of self-motivation, she thought about her father and remembered playing at the beach with him, looking for crabs in the rock pools, eating ice cream and sitting on his back playing donkey rides. Then her mind took her to her father's funeral and the sight of her mother screaming and crying, "Don't leave me." After all these years of hatred that had eaten her up, Susan would finally get her long-awaited revenge. Above the door, the sign announced female accommodation, no smoking. She even had time for a smile. "I'd best not light up then," she thought, pushing open the double swing doors. Then she was inside, pistol drawn, eyes wide, taking everything in, her senses electric. The layout was in an H-block configuration of 2 levels, with 12 corridors in total and a possible 120 targets. Running upstairs, she took 2 at a time, stopping at the top to get her breath and compose herself, then pushed open the door to a troop and entered the carpeted corridor. It was not how she imagined it. The carpet was thick and spongy, and the walls were painted pale blue. There was a table at one end with a vase of flowers under a picture of some military scene from hundreds of years ago of some soldiers on horseback crossing a river on a wooden bridge. She could hear the buzzing of the overhead lights and the thumping of her heart, which got even louder as a washing machine started its spin cycle in the laundry room. Pushing open the laundry door, finger on the trigger, it was empty. Just a couple of baskets with uniforms and female underwear on the floor. The washing machine had jerked her from her inquisitive visitor demeanor and focused her killer mind. A quick look at her watch told her it had only taken 7 minutes to get from the perimeter. They had been briefed that there could be up to 700 soldiers in this camp, and up till now, Susan had not seen a soul. She needed to get a move on, and her hand went to the first door handle and pushed down. She tried it several times. It was locked. Jock had informed her that it was against fire regulations for the Brits to lock their doors, so she moved on to the next. The same thing locked. The first 5 doors all locked. She thought about shooting the lock off. Even though she had a silencer on the Glock, she decided against it, instead moving on to the next door. This one was open. She slowly pushed open the door a fraction, almost forgetting to breathe. As expected, the room was in darkness. Susan chose not to wear her night vision goggles for this part. She wanted to see her victims as clearly as possible and watch them die. It was a double room, but she quickly realized that there was only one body on the right-hand side of the bed. Closing the door softly behind her, she walked over to the occupied bed. The curtains were only partially drawn and the moonlight gave enough light to see it was a young woman with long black hair curled around the pillow. Above the Brit's bed was a poster of some boy band prancing about on a beach in America or somewhere. It just looked like an ordinary girl's bedroom. She had imaged something more sterile and prison-like, her mind dehumanizing her victims. The terrorist did not want to personalize the young girl she was about to execute. Seconds felt like hours, like she was glued to the floor. Susan aimed the pistol at the girl's forehead and checked the safety was off, even though she knew it was. It was like she was stalling and trying to fool herself. Then, like in some low-budget horror movie, she stared into a pair of dark brown blinking eyes. "Who the fuck up?" Susan pulled the trigger 3 times, then needlessly once more. the rounds shattering the girl's face, 2 below the left eye, 1 into her jaw, and 1 above her right temple. The white pillow quickly soaking up the dark blood like a sponge. Parts of brain tissue splashed down onto the hot radiator and began to cook like an omelette. Bile rose in Susan's throat, making her gag. She had always been told the first kill was the hardest, but nothing could have prepared her for this. She looked up at the ceiling. "This is for you, Daddy." Then she moved on to the next room, reminding herself to conserve ammunition for her next kill. 18-year-old Pamela Striven from Wolverhampton was the first victim of the Partington Barracks massacre. Her uncle was ex-SBS, Special Boat Service, and on hearing the news of her murder, he wrongly blamed himself for her death and tragically threw himself under a train 3 weeks later. Please like, subscribe, and share. Read A.A. McNally's book Sons of Eirinn, Operation Celtic Jihad.